Started with the first question, which comes from the 2007 CSU President Steve McHale. And this is for everyone. Working cooperatively with both the CSU representatives and the CSU cabinet members is essential for a successful administration. How do you plan to motivate and cooperate with representatives and cabinet members in order to pursue an agenda? Furthermore, how do you plan to work through disagreements between the executive, representative, and cabinet bodies? And we'd like to go ahead and start with Mr. Hare.
Well, I want to thank Steve for that question. It's a very good question, and I'll start off by saying that I believe that cooperation between the representatives, the executive board, and the cabinet of CSU are vitally essential to the effective organization. One way that we can get the cabinet and the executives more on target is better communication. It doesn't include a lot of bells and whistles. It's very simple. I as a president need to be there for the cabinet, the different presidents of the student body governments, and I need to communicate with them, sit down regularly with them and talk to them, find out what their students are saying, find out what their needs are, and find out what I can do as president to work with the administration and with my representatives to make their concerns a reality. With the representative body, I think it's also simple. Again, communication and motivation. We need to motivate them by lighting a fire in their leadership experience when they step into office the first couple of weeks. We need to set a mindset that they're going to work hard, that they're going to be active leaders, and that they're going to go out into the student body, not wait for students to come to them, but go out and seek out solutions. We need to increase the transparency, and that's one way to do it. Another way that we can motivate representatives is by giving them incentive to want to help you. Make it their job and their goal to go out into student organization meetings and sit in the student center at a table like this and talk to people and go to residence halls door to door. Another thing we can do.
Thank you, Mr. Hare.
That is a great question, and over the past year I have seen how both the relationships between the executive board and the representatives and the executive board and the cabinet need to definitely improve. And so I'll start with the cabinet. The purpose of the cabinet is very clear in writing, and it is to be an advisors to the executive body. And I feel that relationship has been lost. And so really redeveloping the cabinet as being advisors and holding the executives accountable to the students and to the representatives alike. And so really developing that relationship between the cabinet and the executives will help build the brand of CSU. And on the representative side, again, it's a concept of accountability, and everyone throughout CSU, throughout the three bodies, really need to hold each other accountable. And it's not just the executives holding the representatives accountable, but vice versa as well. And so really the first strategic plan initiative is building the brand of CSU. We have to make representatives want to be part of CSU, and one way is to really build the brand throughout the student body.
Mr. Anchin?
Well, that's a great question. Again, I think that question honestly speaks, as I said in my intro, to exactly what my position as Vice President of Student Affairs deals with, meeting with the representatives and working with them and setting goals. So I think a big part of it is having a passion and enthusiasm that starts at the top and it goes down through them. And that's something that I think that I have experienced. Being a representative, I think that I've had opportunities and times when I have been very excited about recycling and the different legislation that we're working towards, and there have been times when it has been very difficult at the same time to be motivated. So I think it is key to start off at the beginning of the year and say, let us look at the current state of Creighton. We've done a 5-year strategic plan, and that's great, but let's look at where we are right now, and let's assess that, and let's see where the students want to go, and let's see where the representatives want to go with this. So I think a big part of motivating them is casting their vision into this as well and understanding where they want to go and how we can best do that. So I think it'll be a mixture of having tangible goals that we can see fulfilled. It will be incorporating those goals and letting the student body know what is going, so that the student body is keeping us accountable for what we want to do. And at the same time, just having fun with it and motivating them and having a passion. So it's the beginning of the term, and I look forward to that.
Thank you. Mr. Rich?
As a vice president for student affairs, one of the main jobs that fall under that position is dealing with representatives and making sure that the representative body as a whole is really able to properly represent the students. And I think I think this question really kind of speaks towards how do we work with that relationship between the representatives, the execs, and the rest of CSU. And I think one of the first points that we can really strengthen the communication there is by having a better representative training program, making sure our representatives are better empowered in the fact that, first of all, like Adam said, one of the strategies we've laid out in the Constituent Services Committee is to make sure that our representatives are doing a better job of communicating with student organizations and with students. We also need to make sure that representatives are well aware of how the new committee structure works and how, when we have an issue on campus, we need to make sure we're quickly forming committees and looking for resolutions to those issues. Also, we need to make sure that we understand our full legislative power and really what all CSU can do. And finally, we need to make sure that we're engaging all parts of CSU and overall all of our students. We need to make sure that everyone understands the power that CSU has and that we represent the students. And finally, the last thing we need to do is to make sure that we have open meetings between us and the students, because ultimately when it comes down to arguments between exec or between representatives, between the board, we're ultimately here to represent students.
Thank you,
and that's
Mr.
what we need
Rich.
to do.